Hello world, Wendy from Cali here, back with another mixed mani chat. We are doing Stacy's Shenanigans Winter 2026 Week 4, India. Apparently it's on Stacy's bucket list of locations to visit. And she mentions that the colors, music, accents, art, and architecture be inspired by any part and theme your mani around it. And so I'm sure lots of folks are doing this, but one of these sub-box accent packs, Henna Harmony, definitely fit the bill for this occasion. I also thought that Bandana Republic would be a nice touch with that design as well. I'm just hoping that these strips aren't dry, because I've used them previously and resealed them, as you can tell. And then Silk Mirage, one of my favorite sub-box sets that came many moons ago, as well as Luxe Dècor. I'm actually only using them not for the art strips, but for the colored strips, because I thought those colors would go really well together. And then in the event that I need to open this one for any of the non-art strips, I will do that. But let's get started. This video is super late because I totally got sick. And I should have known that I would get sick. I mean, nobody knows that they're gonna get sick, but for me, it started, I think it was Friday of the prior week, where I started feeling a little funny. But it was one of those, you know, the throat felt kind of scratchy, and my sister-in-law, Mama Carla, and her kiddos, their whole household has been sick for the past couple of weeks with flu-like symptoms, fever, headaches, fatigue, all of that. So we have not been doing any homeschooling or anything like that. Just kind of keeping away from the household, making sure we didn't get sick. But somehow I ended up sick. And over the last weekend, I was feeling like a little bit fatigued, but not out of the ordinary fatigue. So, you know, I was able to go on a walk with Panda Bear. I think I went with Panda Bear and Pops. You know, we were able to do stuff. And it wasn't until Monday when I was at work, towards like the end of the day, where I felt like I was being really snappy with people. And really just like not able to hang. I was just like not feeling well. And I was on a call with one of my colleagues right before leaving the office, and I even told her, I was like, I don't feel well. Like, I think something's wrong. Like, I am not feeling good at all. And so when Panda Bear came to pick me up from the office and he took me home, I literally, like, I fell asleep so early. And the next day when I woke up, I was full-blown sick. Like, my left ear was clogged, like, super sore throat. I didn't have a fever, at least not that Panda Bear could tell, but my body felt like it was hit by a train. Because of like the clogged left ear, like my whole balance was completely off. Ended up spilling my morning coffee. It was a huge mess, and I was like feverishly trying to clean it up. And needless to say, I was just like, I wanted to crawl back into bed. So I was told to take the day off, And I listened because I just didn't think I can handle the day. It was just going off to a really rough start. And I spent most of the day sleeping because it just hit me like, I don't know, it was bad. But Panda Bear ended up going out and getting the meal that we normally have whenever I am feeling sick. And that's tom kha soup from Thai House. Don't know why. It was a dish that I had like before even it became my sick dish. But like it was one that I enjoyed very much, not while sick. But it has become like the dish, like I only have it now when I am sick. Like I don't tend to crave it. I don't tend to want it. Unless I'm not feeling well. And so he knew I was not feeling well, and so he went and got that. I don't know if it was his idea or if it was my mom's idea, because she loves that soup too. And she'll get it even when she's not sick. She'll just get it. And so that's mostly what I remember of Tuesday. Like tom kha soup and a lot of sleep. I'm telling you, I was not feeling the best. And then Wednesday, because I was still not feeling well, I attempted to do some work from home, but I sounded horrible. I felt horrible. I still did not feel good. But after one day of missing work, I already had like over 200 emails that I had to like dig through. And I had like a bunch of meetings, internal meetings, that were scheduled. And I really wanted to like try to get through them. But about halfway through the day, I was like, I couldn't. And so called it off, rolled back into bed, and just stayed in bed. And Thursday I had originally taken the day off because I was going to babysit with Panda Bear, our nieces, because it was a really important day. I don't think I can mention it online, just to keep their matters private. But long story short, woke up Thursday morning, Panda Bear's like, yeah, no, you're not going with me. You still have symptoms. You're gonna stay home. And so that is what I ended up doing. Stayed home to rest, which actually turned out to be good, because resting on Thursday really helped for Friday. And those of you that watch Bridgerton on Netflix know that on Thursday they released 4 episodes. They're releasing season 4 in 2 parts. So the second half of the season 4 you won't see it until February. But first 4 episodes I was able to easily binge watch. And I have to say, I actually enjoyed season 4 part 1 a lot. And it made me want to just re-listen to the book again. So luckily my library app has the book, or had the book available. So I borrowed it, and I'm currently listening to that. But before that, I also had gotten the second, so part 2 of Cursed Fates Zodiac Academy, because that was released earlier in the week. But I hadn't had a chance to listen to it yet, because what I also was listening to was a new book that I was looking for books that inspired movies or TV shows, and one of them was one called The Idea of You. Is it by Robin Lee? I can't remember the name of the author, but The Idea of You was turned into a movie on Amazon Prime. So if you're looking for an interesting movie that was inspired by a book, The Idea of You has Anne Hathaway and this male actor that is like, I guess he was in Cinderella, the one with Camila Cabello. Is that how you pronounce her name? I don't know. Anyways, the movie wasn't bad at all. Very entertaining. The whole book to movie kind of thing. People we meet on vacation was what sparked my wanting to start like reading books and then watching the movies or something that go along with it. Also, the book that I was really into by Nicholas Sparks and M. Night Shyamalan, I was able to finish reading the ebook, and we finally dropped off the book, the hardcover book, to our neighbor, Delia. So I was able to kind of talk with her about that. That's what we did Saturday. See, now I'm remembering last Saturday. I'm telling you, my brain is still catching up to being sick. And I know I've been talking this whole time while trying to gather my stuff. But you'll have to bear with me. My brain is still catching up from being sick. So, anyways, let's get started here. I noticed that I only have like the bigger strips, and I thought that it would be nice to have tips and just have these designs over my naked nail. So the only ones that I probably won't do that with would be my thumbs, which I think for my thumbs I will do the combo of these right here. So we can do that. But first things first, let's get some of these tips down. I'll probably use the blue for my pointer finger and my ring fingers, and then the rest of them will have this peachy color. So let's cut that now. Actually, let's do it this direction because it's a lot smaller. Alright. What we'll do is we will slap it like that. And then that way we can cut off a bit of it. And use it on the middle finger. But how will we do this so that we don't have this extra? Let's peel this extra off. So Friday I actually went back to work in the office, and I was able to last the whole day. I even was able to walk on my walking pad at work, so felt like I was getting pretty much back to normal until right towards the end of the day, Friday, I was feeling really tired. Panda Bear came to pick me up from the office. He had purchased a sandwich from Mike's Deli because before he dropped me off at the office, he asked me if there was anything I was wanting to eat. And that's what I told him I wanted. I wanted a sandwich from Mike's Deli. And so he brought it for me. We went grocery shopping so that we can bring Mama Carla some provisions. She had a long grocery list. And I was getting really fatigued at the grocery store. That's when I knew I was like, okay, I think I'm not fully better yet. But I'm on the mends for sure. Today, I think, was the first day where I actually felt a little more like myself. I did, however, I woke up really early in the morning, fed my sourdough starter because I knew I was going to bake more bread for Panda. Because in the middle of the night last night, when we came home from dropping off the groceries for Mama Carla, I literally passed out. It was probably not even 6:30 p.m. and I was dead asleep. That's how exhausted I was. But in the middle of the night, probably around 1 or 2, I don't know what it was, but Panda Bear was still awake, and he and I chit-chatted for a brief moment. He mentioned that he had eaten 4 slices of the sourdough bread that I had made for him, and that the reason why he did that was because he wanted to make sure none of the slices went to waste. I had made the bread last week. I think it was last weekend on Sunday. I had made the bread, and usually the bread's good for maybe at most a week. So he was like, yeah, I ate 4 slices. So basically he toasted them up and put cinnamon and sugar and butter. And he was like, yeah, it's so crunchy, so good. That made me jealous because I fell asleep super early. I didn't really eat very much. But I knew that I had to make more bread because I was like, oh no, he's going to finish the bread and then he's going to want more. I just know it. And so this morning I woke up, fed the sourdough starter, and yesterday when we were talking about what cookies, if there was a cookie that I would make, what would he want? Because usually Panda Bear's not that big on desserts or anything like that. But he actually had something he wanted. He said, what about chocolate chip cookies? I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have any chocolate chips, because we haven't purchased any new baking stuff in the recent weeks, because 1, everybody's been sick, but 2, after all the baked goods of the holidays, we were kind of not really baking too much of that stuff. But the prior week I did make pistachio muffins because we had leftover pistachios that I was meaning to make good use of, and I really wanted a bakery style pistachio muffin. And so I had made that mostly with my dad in mind, but also me, because I really like pistachio muffins. And so I made those, and because I am the only one in my household that has gotten sick. Somehow, miraculously, my parents, and Panda Bear did not get sick. So, lucky them, unlucky me. But anyways, so because I've been sick, we haven't really been eating the muffins. So we finally just finished the muffins. I think it was it was probably, no, it was on Thursday night we finished the muffins. And so on Friday I had asked Panda, is there any like dessert or baked good that you'd want? And so chocolate chip cookies. I told him I had chocolate chunks, like I had dark chocolate chunks. I remember distinctly that I had those left over from when I had originally made macadamia chocolate chip cookies that I was going to give to my friend Diane for her birthday. And this was way back. Because we were going to meet in October and then I ended up getting sick. So anyways, we had leftover dark chocolate chunks from that. And so this morning, I fed the sourdough starter, went back to sleep, woke up late. It was like almost 9, which is really, that's really sleeping in for me on a weekend. Like I usually don't. So wasn't fully 100% yet. But when I woke up, I think it was not even like, it was almost 9. Because when I woke up, I remember distinctly I was able to watch Stacy Adams live on Facebook. I was catching the tail end of it, which was awesome that I got to see her live. I feel like I haven't seen her lives in like forever. And I don't know if it's because she hasn't had any or if it's because I've just been so out of it. But it was really nice. It almost felt like life was getting back to normal again. And so that was a great way to start the morning. Made the chocolate chip cookies for Panda. Mind you, if you've been watching this channel, you know that it takes a little bit of time for me to bake when I'm baking at home because I use the dinky little toaster oven that we have because our regular oven is out of commission. So I bake 2 cookies at a time. So if you're baking a total of 20 cookies, it takes a little bit of time to bake the full batch, right? So anyways, so that was mostly my morning, was baking cookies and prepping the sourdough bread for baking tonight, which my alarm is probably going to go off at any moment now for me to stick that bread in the oven, which is fine. I don't have to do it right when the alarm goes off, but I did set an alarm for it. It's on its second rise, so yeah, that usually takes about an hour and a half. So I figured that I would have enough time to do my nails before having to stick that bread in the oven. So plus Panda Bear was super tired from today, so he went to take a nap. So I knew that I had some time that I could kill by doing my nails. So yeah, after baking cookies and showering and getting ready to go out, we actually went to go look at some open houses nearby in our neighborhood and our neighboring neighborhoods, because my aunt is looking to possibly purchase some real estate. So Panda Bear has graciously offered his help to search for a property that would fit what she's looking for, but realistically her parameters is a little limiting. And so we were only able to see 4 properties today. And when I say we, it was Panda Bear, Pop's mom, and myself. And each property as we went was slightly more expensive than the first before it. and they kept getting better and better. Obviously, of course, the better properties and the better neighborhoods are going to cost a pretty penny. So the fourth and last house that we had attended the open house, oh gosh, let me tell you, like, if I was on the market for a home, that would have been my dream home. It was 1.1 million, which is not within the budget that my aunt is looking for, but it's in the hills of Montebello, which is the neighboring city from where I am. And just the way the house, the landscaping, the whole way they set up the whole house, it was beautiful. Like, I didn't want to leave. And yet, I also felt like, oh, we need to leave. Like, I feel like an imposter in this house. Like, I shouldn't be looking at an open house of this caliber, because it's really not, like, within the budget that we're looking for. I'm surprised, actually, that house was only going for 1.1, because it was just so beautiful. Like, I don't know. One house we did look at that was $950K, really close by to our house, in fact, and had nice, like, lemon trees already, like, in the backyard, but it's slightly smaller than what we're hoping for. So, you know, it was a lot of fun, though, going to the open houses with Panda Bear and the rents. We had the joy of, like, just walking through the different houses. The first house that we had seen definitely wasn't, like, price-wise it fit, but size-wise and the way it was, like, laid out definitely did not fit with what we were looking for. So the search continues, and I'm kind of actually excited about it, because it's one of those things that when I was younger, I would have loved to go, like, look at open houses, just to go and look. And some of these open houses were really cool, like, especially the last one. They were offering mimosas and muffins. I'm like, what? I didn't take any, though, because I was, like, not in the mood for, like, drinking a mimosa while walking through a house. I really wanted to have my wits about me to, like, really look at the house and see if there's any flaws that I needed to notice or anything like that. And so, but it was just nice to be offered, like, you don't always, at least I'm not used to going to attending open houses, so I don't know if you're always offered, like, such nice things like mimosas and muffins and all of that. So anyways, it was a lot of fun. Great way to spend a couple hours of our Saturday as a family. So I very much enjoyed that. So I thought I'd mention it. But came home and I heated up leftover spaghetti that we had thrown in the freezer. I made it last week, but because I was sick, we weren't really eating everything. So ended up heating that up for all of us to eat. And then I also had made pizza. And Panda Bear was so stuffed with the chocolate chip cookies, or chocolate chunk cookies, I should say, that he, and the spaghetti, of course, he wasn't able to, like, eat the normal amount of pizza he normally would consume. So he stopped at, I think it was, like, how many slices did I serve him? I think it was like 5 slices, which is crazy because he usually eats like double that. But yeah, I definitely put him in a food coma. He passed out and took a nap. And, oh, and because he was napping, I didn't want to listen to any of my audiobooks. I was reading an ebook. So if you have ever seen The Notebook, you would know that it is based off of a book by Nicholas Sparks. Well, he has another book called The Wedding, which is a book that basically it's a book that basically is happening with the second generation. So, you know, Noah and Allie had kids, and it's based off of the life of one of their daughters and her husband and her family. And so I've been reading that book as of recent, as far as one of the ebooks that I'm currently reading. But yeah, I guess I'm in a mood to mix it all up and read different, like, romance and chick lit for the time being. Sorry, let me just clean this up a little bit. As I mentioned, the alarm for my bread went off. Luckily, it's not in the oven yet. That's the alarm for me to put it in the oven. So I still have a little bit of time, because if it takes a little bit longer before I put it in the oven, it's not going to be the end of the world. Basically, on the second rise for sourdough bread, it's already in the baking pan that it's supposed to bake in. It just needs to rise about an inch above the pan itself before I put it in the oven. And so we're at that point where it's about that time that I put it in the oven. But let me just finish the nails here and let me finish this video, because I am literally almost done. This set I have not used yet, so I'm going to go ahead and make a nail stick for it. So it's Henna Harmony. Sorry, my mat is just, this got covered in coffee earlier this week, so I had to wash it. But obviously nail polish and markers doesn't come off in the wash, which is fine. But just giving you a heads up on that. If I was filming originally, I had wanted to do my nails on Wednesdays at the office. I'd have a much cleaner, prettier mat, but obviously that is not what happened or what has happened. So here we are. But I'm going to use Henna Harmony on my peace sign nails so that we can finish this off and I can go bake my bread. But yeah, so I was watching Stacy's video, or Stacy's live, and she mentioned like a new challenge or a new game that she's gonna have for us. So I'm super excited. I'm gonna have to rewatch the video because I had jumped in like halfway through, so not quite sure what I missed, but I am excited for a new challenge. I love that I'm provided different challenges to do because it makes for not having to think so hard. Sometimes it's very hard to think. Because I was sick this week, I didn't really do my nails. I did do a transition mani on Thursday, I think it was, where I had used vintage vase earlier in the week, and then later on I used retro blue, which is the blue version of that same like kind of design that Color Street came out with in the sub box. It was the same sub box, and so I used those. Didn't get a picture of retro blue because, like I said, I was just way out of it. So it's okay though. I didn't like the retro blue as much as I like the vintage vase. Something about the blue was just not the right shade of blue that I normally like. But vintage vase was really pretty because Panda Bear actually commented on how pretty the nails look, and he doesn't do that often, so for him to comment on it made me happy that I used it. I think there's no way that I'm going to be able to like save any of this Henna Harmony because, oh, that one looks really tiny for some reason. Even if I saved like one remaining strip, there's no way to match it. So it's like not really worth the effort of trying to save it. I have learned that I need to like just learn to use the strips and stop trying to be frugal and save them all, because I end up not using the leftovers as often as I would like. And we are moving into use it or lose it time. Stacy Adams and her Facebook group from like February to March, I think, does this use it or lose it. So like trying to get us all who like to save our leftover strips to dig into our leftover strips to use it. And then she does like little games and prizes and stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to join in on that and try to use a lot of my leftover strips, which as you can see, I did that today. But of course I had to open another Silk Mirage just so I can get the strips I needed. But these I can put away. This one actually goes with this one. But yeah, if you watched all the way through, sorry if it was just like a lot of rambling. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I was just so out of it for the past week. But now I'm feeling loads better, and I have a fun, expressive mani that goes with week 4, India. So I know it's not as colorful as most other folks' manis, but I feel like the design itself is reminding me of henna. So even if it's not the brown color, it's a nice like black nod to henna. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you've watched all the way through and you want to leave a little emoji, let's have you put the kissy face, mwah, kissy face emoji, because thank you. I just want to say thank you for watching, and yeah, I will see you all next time, hopefully with more interesting things to say than just the books and the shows and movies I've been watching. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Peace.